Afternoon.
Sir, I'm going to need you to step away from the machine and head out for me.
For what? I'm just getting my cash.
We got a report, and folks here said they felt unsafe. Let's move it along.
Officer, I'm an off-duty Navy SEAL. I'm not bothering anyone, and I'm within my rights.
You can tell it to me outside. If you don't leave, this turns into an arrest.
14, 19, 20.
Sir, turn around now. Turn around.
February 5th, 2024, 2:16 p.m. Inside a bank ATM vestibule. Officer badge number 3926 believed he was responding to a routine call. Someone had reported feeling uncomfortable. No crime was alleged, no threat described, no suspect identified. What followed would last just 18 minutes, and it would end a career, not because of what the officer found, but because of what he decided. If you're watching from anywhere in the world, subscribe and let us know where you're watching from in the comments. Stories like this don't happen in isolation. The Bodycam timestamp reads 2:16 p.m. Officer badge number 3926 enters and approaches a man who's standing at an ATM machine, card in hand, completing a transaction. The officer says, "Excuse me, sir," and the man glances back over his shoulder and says, "Yeah, what's up?" His tone calm and neutral. The officer steps closer and says, "I'm going to need you to finish up and step outside." The man turns slightly, looks at him and says, "I'm just pulling out some cash, almost done." 5 seconds of silence pass. The officer shifts his weight and says, "We got a call. Someone said they felt uncomfortable, so I need you to leave." The man doesn't move. His hands stay near the keypad, and he asks, "Uncomfortable about what?" The officer's voice hardens and he says, "That's not really the issue here. I'm asking you to leave the premises." At this point, no crime has been named, no specific complaint described, but the tone has already changed. The man exhales slowly and says, "Officer, I'm withdrawing money from my own account. I haven't done anything." The officer replies, "I didn't say you did, but you're making people nervous, so I'm asking you to go." The man looks around the empty vestibule, then back at the officer and asks, "Who said they were nervous?" No answer. The officer's jaw tightens and he says, "I'm not going to ask again." The transaction completes, the machine beeps, the man takes his card, pockets the cash, and turns to face the officer fully. He says, "I'd like to know what law I'm breaking." The bodycam catches the officer's hand move toward his belt, not his weapon, his radio. The officer says, "You're refusing a lawful order." The man asks, "What's the order based on?" His voice hasn't risen, he hasn't stepped forward, he's standing still, asking a question. The officer doesn't answer and says, "Turn around." The man asks, "For what?" The officer repeats, "Turn around." The man stays where he is and says, "I'm a veteran, Navy. I'm off duty. I came here to use the ATM. I don't understand what I've done." The officer's expression doesn't change and he says, "I don't care what you are. Turn around or you're under arrest." Long pause. The man looks directly at the bodycam on the officer's chest, then at his face, and asks, "This is being recorded, right?" The officer says, "Everything's recorded. Now turn around."
What happens next determines everything. The man does not immediately comply, but he also doesn't resist. He doesn't run, doesn't raise his voice, doesn't reach for anything. He stands there and says, "I want to comply, but I need to understand what I'm being accused of." The officer steps into his personal space, close now, and says, "You're being accused of refusing to follow instructions. That's disorderly conduct, that's obstruction. Now turn around." The man's breathing is audible on the mic, steady, controlled. He asks, "Am I being detained?" The officer says, "You're about to be arrested." The man asks for what crime. The officer pulls his handcuffs from his belt and says, "Last chance." The man closes his eyes, brief moment, then he turns around. Hands go behind his back, no prompting needed. The officer cuffs him, left wrist click, right wrist click, and says, "You're under arrest for disorderly conduct and failure to comply." The man says nothing. Officer keys his radio and says, 3926 to dispatch, 1 in custody at First Union ATM. Male, mid-40s, no resistance, transporting now. Dispatch crackles back and says, "Copy 3926, what's the charge?" Brief pause. The officer says, "Disorderly conduct." Dispatch says 10-4. The officer escorts him toward the exit. The man speaks once more, quietly, and asks, "Can I ask you something?" No response from the officer. He asks, "What did the person say, the one who called?" Silence. They walk through the front doors, sunlight hits the camera lens, a few people on the sidewalk glance over, most don't. The man is placed in the back of the patrol car, door shuts, body cam stays on. Inside the vehicle, the man sits upright, hands cuffed behind him. He's not crying, not shouting, staring straight ahead. The officer gets in the driver's seat, adjusts the rearview mirror. From the back seat, the man speaks, soft voice, and says, "I served 2 tours overseas. I've never been arrested in my life." The officer starts the engine and says, "Shoulda left when I told you to." No reply. They drive in silence. The patrol car arrives at the county intake facility at 2:41 p.m. The man is escorted inside, still cuffed, still calm, taken to a processing area. The cuffs are removed. He's asked to empty his pockets, wallet, phone, keys, cash, everything placed in a plastic bin. He's fingerprinted, left hand, right hand, then photographed, front, side. He doesn't smile, doesn't frown, just stares ahead. The intake officer asks standard questions: name, date of birth, address, emergency contact. The man answers each one, voice steady, no emotion. He's asked if he understands the charges. He says yes. He's asked if he needs medical attention. He says no. He's told he'll be held until processing is complete, then released on his own recognizance, no bail required. He nods. By 3:15, he's placed in a holding cell with one other person. They don't speak. The man sits, hands folded, staring at the floor. At 4:52 p.m., his name is called. He's escorted back to processing, given his belongings, handed a release form and a court date. He signs, he's told he's free to go. He walks out, no one picks him up. He calls a ride share, waits outside on the curb. 15 minutes later, he's gone. By 5 p.m., the man is home. He sits on his couch, doesn't turn on the TV, doesn't call anyone, just sits. The arrest report is filed that evening. 1 page, reason listed, suspicious behavior and refusal to comply with officer commands. It doesn't say what behavior was suspicious, doesn't explain who called or what they said, doesn't mention the man is a decorated veteran. It doesn't have to. No charges are formally filed. The district attorney's office reviews the report. They decline to prosecute. Insufficient evidence. The man receives a letter 3 days later stating the case has been closed. No trial, no record, as if it never happened. But it did. On February 8th, the man contacts an attorney. Her name is redacted in public records, but her reputation isn't. Civil rights litigation, police misconduct, excessive force. She takes the case immediately and requests the body cam footage. The department provides it within 48 hours. No delays, no redactions. She watches it multiple times, takes notes, cross-references timestamps and dispatch logs. She contacts the bank's corporate office, requests internal surveillance from the ATM area. They comply. The footage matches the body cam frame by frame. She pulls the arrest report again, checks for the initial complaint. Dispatch log lists it as anonymous. No callback number, no description of the threat, just a vague reference to discomfort. She tries to trace it. The call came from a prepaid cell. Disconnected, untraceable. She speaks to bank employees. None remember making a call. None saw anything unusual that day. She reviews departmental policy on detainment and arrest. Probable cause required. Articulable suspicion required. Neither was documented. She files a formal complaint on February 10th, not just with the department, with internal affairs, with the district attorney's office, with the mayor's office, with the civilian oversight board. She attaches the full body cam video. 48 hours later, it's leaked, not from her office, from somewhere inside City Hall. Local news picks it up first, then regional outlets, then cable news. The story goes national by February 14th. The department doesn't respond immediately. They monitor the coverage, gauge public reaction. On February 15th, they release a brief statement saying, "We are aware of the incident involving officer badge number 3926. The matter is under internal review. We take all allegations seriously and remain committed to accountability." Officer 3926 is placed on administrative leave, paid, pending the outcome of the investigation. He's told not to speak to the media. He doesn't. The man still hasn't given an interview, hasn't posted online, hasn't appeared on camera. His attorney speaks on his behalf. She holds a press conference outside the county courthouse. 15 reporters attend. She plays 30 seconds of the body cam. No commentary, just the footage. She takes 3 questions, then ends it saying, "The video speaks for itself." She leaves. Internal Affairs opens a formal investigation on February 16th. 2 investigators assigned, both senior, both with over 15 years' experience. They interview Officer 3926 twice. First interview, February 18th, 43 minutes. He maintains he followed protocol, says the man was uncooperative, says he felt the situation could escalate. Second interview, February 22nd, 91 minutes. This time they press harder. They ask about the initial call. He says dispatch relayed a complaint. They ask what the complaint was. He says someone felt uncomfortable. They ask if he verified the complaint. He hesitates, says he didn't need to. They ask if he observed any criminal behavior. He says no. They ask why he initiated contact. He says it was his discretion. They ask if the man threatened him. He says no. They ask why he arrested him. He says the man refused to leave. They ask if refusal to leave is a crime. He says it can be. They ask if it was in this case. He doesn't answer. The interview ends. The investigators pulled dispatch audio. The original call was logged at 2:11 p.m. Caller reported suspicious person at bank ATM. No details, no description, no allegation of crime, just discomfort. They contact the bank again, speak to the manager, the assistant manager, 3 tellers, 2 security personnel. None of them made the call, none of them saw anything. They review the bank's own security footage. 2 cameras cover the ATM area. Both show the same thing the body cam does. A man alone withdrawing cash, then an officer arriving, then at arrest. The investigators submit their findings on March 2nd, 5 pages, single-spaced. The conclusion is clear. Officer 3926 initiated contact without articulable suspicion. No crime was observed. No legal justification for detention existed. The arrest violated departmental policy and constitutional protections under the 4th Amendment. It's forwarded up the chain. Deputy Chief, Chief, City Attorney. By March 3rd, a decision is made. Officer 3926 is called into headquarters 10 a.m. He arrives with his union representative. They're escorted to a conference room. The deputy chief is waiting, so is a human resources director. The meeting lasts 18 minutes. No recording is made, but the outcome is documented. Officer 3926 is terminated, effective immediately. Not suspended, not reassigned, dismissed. He's asked to surrender his badge, his service weapon, his department identification, his access card. He hands them over one by one. The termination letter lists 3 violations: unlawful detention, abuse of authority, conduct unbecoming of a law enforcement officer. He signs acknowledgement of receipt. His union rep says they'll appeal. The deputy chief nods. The meeting ends. Officer 3926 leaves through a side exit. No cameras, no press. He gets in his car and drives away. That afternoon, the department issues a second statement. This one is different. Following a thorough internal investigation, Officer Badge Number 3926 has been terminated for actions inconsistent with department policy and the law. We are committed to accountability and maintaining public trust. The man's attorney is notified 30 minutes later by phone. She's told the city wants to open settlement discussions. She declines. Not yet. On March 5th, the man speaks publicly for the first time. Not to reporters, to a veterans advocacy organization. Small gathering, closed to press, 20 people in attendance. He doesn't prepare remarks. He speaks from the heart. I did what I was trained to do. Stay calm, know my rights, trust the system. He pauses. The system worked. For me, because I had resources. I had a lawyer. I had video evidence. Another pause. A lot of people don't. He sits down, no questions. He leaves through a back door. Officer 3926 has not spoken publicly. His attorney has. He says the termination was unjust, that his client was following standard procedure, that he's being made an example of. The union has issued support. They've filed a grievance. They're considering legal action. The body cam footage remains public record. Over 3 million views now. Analyzed, debated, cited in legal seminars, used in police training as a case study in what not to do. No criminal charges have been filed against Officer 3926. The district attorney reviewed the case, declined to prosecute, cited lack of criminal intent. The man has returned to his life. He works, he exercises, he banks at a different location now. He hasn't been back to that ATM, hasn't driven past that bank, hasn't forgotten. The footage is 11 minutes and 42 seconds long, from entry to arrest. It captured one decision, one escalation, one consequence. But it raises questions that extend far beyond those 18 minutes. How many calls like this happen every day? How many rely on vague complaints? How many escalate without cause? How many people comply not because they're guilty, but because they're afraid? How many encounters are never recorded, never reviewed, never questioned? The body cam worked. The investigation worked. The accountability worked. But only because the camera was on. Only because someone had the resources to fight. Only because the story became public. February 5th, 2024, 2:16 p.m. The timestamp is frozen, the footage unchanged, but the conversation continues about discretion, about power, about who is believed and who has to prove they did nothing wrong. Somewhere, right now, another call is being made, another officer is responding, another camera is recording, or maybe it isn't.